Now we're going to ask a few questions about gay marriage, starting with Governor Romney. When the Massachusetts Supreme Court legalized gay marriage in 2003, you accused the justices of assuming for themselves the powers that should belong to the state legislature. Now that the New York state legislature has legalized gay marriage, do you believe state lawmakers have the right to make same-sex marriage legal in their states?
I'd far prefer having the representatives of people make that decision than justices. But I believe the issue of marriage should be decided at the federal level. You might wonder, why is that? Why would you just let each state make their own decision? And the reason is because people move from state to state, of course, in a society like ours. They have children as they go to different states. If one state recognizes a marriage and the other does not, what's the right of that child? What kind of divorce proceeding potential would there be in a state that didn't recognize the marriage in the first place? Marriage is a status. It's not an activity that goes on within the walls of a state. And as a result, our marriage status relationship should be constant across the country. I believe we should have a federal amendment of the Constitution that defines marriage as a relationship between a man and a woman. Because I believe the ideal place to raise a child is in a home with a mom and a dad.
All right, thank you, Governor. Next, we'll go to Governor Huntsman. Recently, a Des Moines Register poll found that 58% of likely caucus goers, Republican caucus goers here in Iowa, consider support for civil unions a deal killer for a candidate. You support civil unions. Why are you right? And most of these other candidates, along with most GOP caucus goers, why are they wrong?
Byron, I'm running on my record. I'm proud to run on my record. Some people run from their record. I'm running on my record. I believe in traditional marriage first and foremost. I've been married 28 years. I have 7 terrific kids to show for it. But I also believe in civil unions because I think this nation can do a better job when it comes to equality. And I think this nation can do a better job when it comes to reciprocal beneficiary rights. And I believe that this is something that ought to be discussed among the various states. I don't have any problem with states having this discussion, but as for me, I support civil unions.
So the question was, why are they wrong?
Why are they wrong? They're not wrong. All I'm saying is this ought to be an issue that takes place at the local level of government. That's where these decisions ought to be made. And as for those who were polled, everybody can come to this with their own point of view. I believe in traditional marriage, but I also believe that subordinate to that, we haven't done an adequate job when it comes to equality. That's just my personal belief. Everyone's entitled to their personal belief, too.
All right, thank you, Governor. Next question is for Representative Paul. You've often said you believe defining marriage is a job that should be left to the states. Recently, Senator Santorum asked, if a state wanted to allow polygamy, would that be okay too? What's your answer to that?
Well, that's sort of like asking the question if the states wanted to legalize slavery or something like that. That is so past reality that no state is going to do that. But on the issue of marriage, I think marriage should be between a single man and a single woman, and that the federal government shouldn't be involved. I want less government involvement. I don't want the federal government having a marriage police. I want the states to deal with it if they have to, if they need to. But if you didn't even need the states, really, why do we have to have a license to get married? Why don't we just go to the church? And what other individuals do, why can't we permit them to do it? Whatever they call it, that's their problem, not mine. Just so nobody else forces their definition of marriage on you. That is what we have to prevent. So I would say less government would be better. If you have to have regulations, let the state governments do it.
All right, Senator Santorum, you're looking incredulous. Response?
Well, it sounds to me like Representative Paul would actually say polygamous marriages are okay. If the state has the right to do it, they have the right to do it. And it is not beyond reality, Ron. It is exactly what's being offered in other states right now, and it's being litigated in our courts right now, which is exactly how gay marriage came about, as we see here in the state of Iowa, where 7 justices forced gay marriage on the people of Iowa. I was the only one on this panel who came to Iowa last year and made sure that those 3 justices were defeated. I campaigned and worked to make sure those justices were defeated, because we can't have
You could finish, Senator.
Okay, we can't have 50. We can't have 50 marriage laws. This was the approach that the left took on abortion, which is to pick a few states, pick a few courts, and then go to the Supreme Court and say equal protection. You can't have different state laws, and then you'll have 9 people up at the Supreme Court deciding what marriage is in this country. You have to fight in each state, and that's where I disagree with Rick Perry. I disagree with Michelle Bachmann. I will come to the states and fight to make sure this strategy of picking off a state here and there does not be successful in transforming marriage.
Congresswoman Bachmann, quickly.
Thank you. I support the federal marriage amendment because I believe that we will see this issue at the Supreme Court someday. And as president, I will not nominate activist judges who legislate from the bench. I also want to say when I was in Minnesota, I was the chief author of the constitutional amendment to define marriage as one man, one woman. I have an absolutely unblemished record when it comes to this issue of man-woman marriage.